Hello guys and welcome to my new video. Green Blue is on the rise and tearing apart all the other decks. It's finally finding its spot in the top 5 contenders for the best deck in the format right now. Have fun, let's go. Let's have a look at the card choices for my Green Blue deck. As always, I aim for consistency, and that's why I have a lot of 4-offs in my build. On the 1-drop slot, the only card I have here, the small Clarabelle, 1/2 body, quest for 1. But you can't neglect her second ability. You can pay 2 ink to banish an item of your choice. There are some builds running Emerald Chromicon, which can be very nasty and annoying, so you could use Clarabelle later in the game to banish those Chromicons. On the 2-drop slot, I have the classic Sapphire RAM package with 4 copies of Tipu and 4 copies of Sail the Azurite Sea. You want to find those cards in the mulligan. If you don't have it in your starting hand, aim to find these cards because you want the ramp on 2, so you can start dropping the big characters. If it happens to miss the ramp on 2, there are 4 copies of Visions of the Future. You can dig 5 cards deep into your deck. Look for those cards you need. Look for the ramp maybe. You can take 1 card into your hand and put the rest under your deck. That's it for the 2-drop slot. And on the 3-drop slot, if you happen to miss the ramp, I have 2 copies of the 3-drop Clarabelle, 2/3 body, quest for 1. And if your opponent has more hand cards than you in your hand, you can draw an additional card. Usually this is a good card being on the play because usually your opponent has more hand cards than you at this point of the game. So playing Clarabelle 3 gives also the shift more consistency. Having 6 copies of Clarabelle in the deck makes it more consistent to find the ramp, to find the shift for the big Clarabelle. On the 4-drop slot, this is where the magic starts to happen. We have 4 copies of Scrooge McDuck. Uninkable character, 5/5 body. He's huge and he quests for 2. That's it. A vanilla card actually, but you can earliest bring him out in turn 3. And in turn 3, having a 5/5 body on board questing for 2 is huge because there is usually not many characters can take him out, and you have a lot of options going on quests here. You can sing songs with him and you can start tearing an aggro-ish board apart with Scrooge McDuck. For some additional card draw, we have Donald Duck Perfect Gentleman on the 4-drop slot. He's an inkable character, 2/5 body. Also here, the 5 health is very important because 5 health are very hard to take out these days. He also quests for 2, and at the beginning of your turn, every player, including you and your opponent, can draw a card. So it's a May ability, but your opponent will probably refill his hand to take this opportunity, and you get more food for the big Clarabelle in your opponent's hand. And also on the 4-drop slot, I have 4 copies of You're Welcome. An action song, forecast, inkable. You can shuffle a character, an item, or a location into its player's deck. The player who had this card in play draws 2 cards. So you can also get rid of an unwanted character on the opposing side of the board, shuffle it in his deck, and he has to draw 2 cards. So your Clarabelle gets even more food to draw cards at the end of your turn. That's it for the 4-drop slot. And we keep continuing with big characters questing for 2. Donald Duck, the ramp one. 3/4 body, quests for 2. When you play him, you can put the top card of your deck exerted and face down into your inkwell. So you can ramp on 2. You can ramp in turn 4 playing Donald Duck to have access to your 7-cost cards in turn 5 already. So this is huge actually, playing in Hades or a solo Clarabelle in turn 5 and starting to get a payoff from these cards early on in the game. That's the only card in the 5-drop slot, but in the 6-drop slot we are stacked with 4 copies of Robin Hood, Archer, inkable character, back OG card from set 1, 4/4 body. Also quests for 2, sorry. He gets evasive in your turn. And when you play this character and one of your opponents or your opponent has more hand cards than you can draw a card, which is pretty strong. Also on the play, probably the better card, and he can deal with evasive characters on the opposing side. Can take a genie by himself, can take a Dumbo and surviving. So this is a huge card actually, and with some help he can take out even bigger cards. And also on the 6-drop slot we have the legendary John Silver Alien Pirate. Inkable character, also a 5/5 body, quest for 2, and when you play him and whenever he quests, opposing character gains reckless, so he has to attack and cannot quest for the turn. So this is huge for taking out like high lore questers. They have to attack or at least sing, but they can't gain lore for this turn, which is huge. And you can also, with ramp, you can play him in turn 4 or turn 5 already and making an impact on the board. And your opponent will have a hard time removing John Silver, and you get a huge payoff probably of him. Against most decks, and especially against Blurple, it's very good to get Genie of questing or to get all those 2 lore questers from questing. And also on the 6-drop slot, an action song, Heads Held High, Triple H, 6-cost Inkable, Sing Together. You can remove up to 3 damage from as many characters as you want. So you could target illusion characters, banish them with healing, and then the second ability is what we're looking for, because this has so much combo potential with a card in the deck as well. You give all of the opposing characters -3 strength for the remainder of the turn. And this is huge because then you can challenge without taking too much damage, or you can play another card. I will get in a second to it. Okay, this is for the 5-cost and 6-cost slot. Let's move up. We have even more bigger characters. As I mentioned before, the big Clarabelle, big cow is in the deck. 7-cost Inkable character, 5/6 body. So the cow is huge. Also, quests for 2. She has shift 5, so you can use one of the smaller Clarabelles to shift onto. And at the end of your turn, you draw so many cards that you have equal hand cards than your opponent. So your goal is to feed the hand cards from your opponent or empty your hands as quickly as possible to draw cards with Clarabelle. And we also have the 7-drop Basil from set 8. A 5/4 body, also quests for 2. When you play this character, you can send one character back to its owner's hand. So you can choose either a character on the opposing side of the board, or you can maybe use it on one of your characters, having an impact when entering the play. For example, the Hades, which I will show you in a second. And the second ability, whenever Basil quests, your opponent has to discard a random card from his hand. And also on the 7-cost slot, I spoiled ahead, 4 copies of Hades, uninkable character, 3/6 body, also quests for 2 lore, and when you play him you can put an opposing character into its inkwell face down and exert it. And like I mentioned, you could also bounce Hades back to hand when playing Basil to have him back in hand again, and a little bit of spot removal, which is huge to have some sort of removal in the deck. Besides, you're welcome. Sorry for all the coughing. As I mentioned in my first video this week, I am kind of sick, but this is the only time I can record videos because I have the time and the quietness at home. And the last card in my deck is the 8-cost song, Under the Sea. It's Sing Together, and you put all opposing characters with 2 strength or less under the deck. So in combination with Triple H, Head Held High, you can send almost the entire deck back under the deck from the opponent and clear the board. Which is huge, by the way, and the only board wipe we have so far in Lorcana, in set 9 meta. I'm sorry. we are almost done. I think green-blue is in a good spot right now, and he can beat Blurple and all the other decks consistently, outdraw them, and be a real pain in the ass with so many 2 lore questers in the deck. If you like this video, give it a like. If you're new on the channel, I'm always happy about new viewers, so hit subscribe and welcome on my channel. You will find the deck list in the video description below. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Flokki.